It's a pleasure of mine to introduce our speaker today. He's going to share a little bit with you about his walk this far in life, some of the things that he went through, what it took to get past those things, and where he's at today. So, first, it's been inspiring to us as family, our close friends, to watch how he's been able to navigate, have the strength to get through some of the low points that life has thrown at him that maybe some of you have already went through or possibly might go through in the future. So without further ado, I want to introduce our guest speaker, my brother, Harry Page.
Come on, guys, let me get some energy up in here. All right, I'm good. Good morning, Rahway High. It's an absolute privilege to be a guest speaker here this morning. You are looking at a kid that stood on the corner smoking weed, not doing the right things, and I would also like to take a moment of silence. I know there was some people that passed away in the community, and my heart really goes out to their families. So today, what I want to do is I want to share my story with you guys. The picture on the left here was the lowest point in my life, and the picture on the right is currently where I'm at in life. And I want to share, the things, the trials and tribulations I went through in my life, so that hopefully it touches someone in here that can really benefit from it. So I grew up in Rahway. My father was very active in our life. He was our wrestling coach as kids in the rec out here. And as a kid coming up, I really wanted to do the right thing. I wanted to listen to my parents. I wanted to go to school and get good grades. But unfortunately, there was circumstances that came up that I never told anyone about. At 4 years old, I was sexually molested, which, as I started to get older, I acted out. A lot of people would say Harry Page is a troublemaker. And looking back now, I was just a troubled kid acting out. So whenever I was challenged by any male figures, I would react violently, I would fight, and I would get into trouble. So, growing up, I had an older brother too. There was a pretty big age gap. And my younger brother would come home and I would be by the window. I was younger than him, and I'd watch him do like the 2 steps forward and then the 5 steps back because he was so drunk. And as a little kid, I would watch him and I would want to be nothing like him. Like I wanted to be the complete opposite. I wanted to listen to my father, all the disciplines that he gave us. I wanted to, we would do push-ups before bed, dips off our stairs. Like I really wanted to do the right thing. But some of those things that I just mentioned had me acting out. And unfortunately, let me take it back. I was so disturbed by my older brother that there were nights that I would have dreams that he was gonna die from like doing the things that he was doing. And sometimes I would sleep in my mom's room and just tell her I had a bad dream. And these are things that come back to me later on in life that, you suppress feelings and you don't want to think about certain things. And so I end up, I'm getting in trouble in elementary school, I'm getting into fights. And then what happens is, by the time 7th and 8th grade comes, I'm attracted to the kids that are smoking weed, chilling, cutting class. And it's not because they're doing any of those things. That's not what attracted me to that type of crowd. The reason why I hung around kids like that was because they didn't ask me questions like, hey Harry, how are you doing today? I didn't want to be asked how I was doing. I didn't want to be asked questions about myself. I didn't even know how to deal with the feelings myself. So by 7th and 8th grade, I'm a kid that really enjoyed physical activities. I love sports, BMX, rollerblading, I even skateboard a little bit. Like I just did a little bit of everything. I just love to do different activities. By the time 9th grade came, I started smoking weed in 8th grade. By the time 9th grade came, I was selling weed, I was smoking weed, and I had no interest in school any longer. I just wanted to sell weed, cut class, get with chicks, and school was corny now. It was just kind of in my way. And as I expressed before, whenever I was challenged by a male figure, I would react violently. I got jumped by a group of guys in 9th grade. A week later, I saw one of the guys that was a part of that clique. And the one kid, I just wanted them to taste a piece of what I tasted. I got jumped, I had braces, my mouth was all busted up. I got chipped up pretty good. And I wanted someone to taste what I tasted. So the one kid, I hit him, I knocked him out, he fell to the concrete. The impact of the concrete on his head put him in a coma. So, I'm smoking weed and drinking, they're fine. I'm smoking weed and I'm drinking, right? So I come home, I'm high, I'm drunk. My father didn't even know I went to bed early because I was so ripped from the alcohol and the weed. He wakes me up in the middle of the night, and my father's not even a man that really believes in God or anything. He's like, get to your knees and start praying. And I'm just like what? He's like, get to your knees and start praying right now. And I started praying. The juvenile detective came. He arrested me from my household, and I was in juvenile detention in Elizabeth, and I'm praying for this kid that he's gonna survive. They had to open up his head to relieve the blood clot from the fall. So now I'm praying for this kid that he's gonna make it. So, and I'm sitting in there the whole time like, how did I end up in here? Like all I really wanted to do was, I wanted to listen to my parents, I wanted to go to school, I wanted to, play sports. But somehow, what started out as something to get me out of myself or my feelings, or something that I thought was fun, like, I can't relate to that when people say it's fun. Like, it wasn't fun for me. It robbed me of who I was. I wanted to play sports. Sports is no longer in the picture. I wanted to be a good son. I can't be a good son because I'm acting out. I'm looking at 5 years in Jamesburg. I wanted to go to school. School's no longer cool. It robbed me of who I was authentically. So what was like fun looking then, I couldn't see it when I was there, but looking back now, it had me trapped from the door because it went from, let's just have fun, to this is the outlet I need to get by in life, to deal with things. If something comes up, I'm out, I'm running. I'm going to smoke weed, I'm going to drink, blah, 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 blah. So I end up getting put on probation, house arrest. I was removed out of Rahway High School. I had to go to Elizabeth Day in Elizabeth. So it was Elizabeth, Plainfield, and then other small towns around. Pretty much the worst and the worst. You go to school there from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. If you violate or you do something wrong, the sheriff just comes across, you're locked in all day. The sheriff will come in, cuff you, and take you to juvenile detention, and then ship you to Jamesburg if you have a suspended sentence. And I had a 5-year suspended sentence for Jamesburg. So whatever I violated, they would give me the 5 years plus whatever the judge wanted to add on. And the fear made me walk the straight and narrow for quite some time. I started to play basketball again for probation. I know it sounds ghetto, but it started to show me the things that I was missing, just basketball or working out. But I still dibbled and dabbled on the weekends. I knew I couldn't smoke weed because I knew I couldn't pass that drug test if I did, but I would still drink on the weekends. Like, think about it, 15 years old, I'm still worrying about, I have 5 years that I'm facing in Jamesburg, and my best thinking is like, how can I still drink or do a drug? That's what my thinking is. My stepson's 15 over here. He goes to school, pays attention, plays sports, has good friends. Not to tell you the people I was hanging around. I didn't hang around people that were doing the right thing. And it was because I was also not doing the right thing. Water seeks its own level. Whatever you're vibrating at, whatever you're putting out is what you're gonna attract. And I attracted a lot of negativity because that's where I was at. So I end up graduating from adult high school. The suspended sentence was lifted. I went from a skinny kid in high school. I packed on almost like, I would say almost 100 pounds. I got up to like 260. I was a thick kid, I had an attitude, and I was getting drunk every weekend. I was getting into fights. I was known in this town, from the projects to the good side of the town, as the white boy that'll knock you out. And I took pride in that, because that's where my head was at. You know, I didn't take pride in trying to be a good son. I didn't take pride in trying to do the right thing for my father, who's busting his chops, working all day, and then have to deal with police and all this other stuff, finding me sleeping underneath the dining room table, you know, dealing with an older son that had the same issues. And then my older brother and I felt like we were always in conflict. And back then I would tell you my older brother didn't love me like he loved my younger brother over here. But the truth is, my older brother did love me, but it had to be on my terms and conditions. Like if he did something wrong that I didn't like, then all right, we can't talk no more. Like I would just cut people off, even my own family. Like my thinking was just delusional. So we go on this trip to the Bahamas. Me, my mother, and my two brothers, and my older brother and I, we're going out drinking, and we're hanging out, we're partying till like 5 in the morning, hooking up with chicks. And then what happens is, I get back to New Jersey, and I'm constantly tired. My strength is going down in the gym that I go to. I'm really pale, and I'm getting these night sweats that are like really, really weird. So after being misdiagnosed by a bunch of doctors, come to find out I had leukemia. And I needed to have a bone marrow transplant immediately or I was gonna die. So the first time I'm separated from alcohol and drugs is 15 years old. I'm facing 5 years in Jamesburg. Second time I'm separated from alcohol and drugs, I'm facing my deathbed. So let's go to the next picture so they can see. So I think I'm like this grown man and I'm really just a kid that doesn't know anything. So I end up going to Robert Wood Johnson in New Brunswick, and I asked the doctor, I said, am I gonna live? Honestly, I just wanted to know. I didn't ask it in front of everyone else because I'm trying to claim like I'm like this tough guy, I'm not scared of anything. I asked the doctor, am I going to live? And she simply replied, it's not in our hands, it's in God's hands. And I could tell you, when you're on your deathbed and someone says something like that to you, if you don't believe in God or some form of a higher power, you start to search. So I started to pray every single day. I would ask God, you know, please bring up my white blood cells. And again, I'm looking at the situation like, how do I end up in these situations? Like 5 years in Jamesburg at 15. Now I have leukemia at 19, and I'm on my deathbed. And I'll tell you what, I'm really grateful that I went through that scenario, because I would see like my mother, who I thought was annoying, or my father annoying, she would work all day, come at the hospital, stay with me till like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and I would say, Mom, you got work tomorrow. But see, I'm delusional as a kid. I don't see how much my parents do for me. I always think that they could do better, and again, I'm delusional. So I end up going through a bone marrow transplant. If we go to the next. So that was me before I got my transplant. I lost all my hair, my eyebrows, my eyelashes. I went from 265 pounds to 160 in 3 months. I lost 100 pounds. And what I did develop most importantly when I went through this is like an appreciation for my parents. You know, I was so grateful just to have conversations in the morning. And then what happens is I start to change my self-talk, and I'm like, you know what? I start a security job at Rahway Hospital. I start to put my weight back on. And I'm like, you know what? I want to go to college. I want to apply myself. I felt like I robbed my own self in Rahway High School. I never played sports, never did the right thing. And I'm like, I want to apply myself. I want to see what I can do in life. So I go to Union County College. I walk on the basketball team. I make the basketball team. I made the dean's list. And everyone's like, wow, this guy really turned his life around. And I did. But there was still things that I never talked to anyone about. Certain things I went through in my life. Certain things that I felt towards myself that eventually will surface again. That pain or whatever you went through is going to surface again. So what do? I start drinking on the weekends again, hanging out, and then it starts to get into the weekdays. And I'm like, how the heck did I end up in here? Let's go to the next clip. So that's me at 160 pounds after my transplant. When I got home, I was literally crawling on my hands and knees like a baby. My blood type changed to my older brother. I was the first bone marrow transplant from start to finish at Robert Wood Johnson, New Brunswick. I'm in their pamphlet with my daughter. Like a true miracle. My daughter is a miracle. She's 3 people. She's unique. She's my older brother, myself, and her mother. Let's go to the next clip. So that's my older brother, Ryan. So I'm in college, I'm playing basketball, I'm doing all the right things, I'm getting good grades, and then what happens is I start to drinking again, it starts to come on into the weekdays, and then one night I get a call that my brother's at a hotel and he's doing some hard drugs. Now keep in mind, I don't do drugs. I drink, I take Percocets that I get from my doctor. I don't do drugs. But again, I'm delusional, right? So I go to the hotel that he's at, and I'm just like, where's the white boy at? He says he's downstairs in the truck. So I go downstairs, I'm with a couple of my friends that didn't go to school either, that are gang affiliated, just there if anyone jumps in or gets involved. And I said, Ryan, get out the truck. And he said, bro, go ahead, man. Now keep in mind, he's got his younger brother telling him what to do. He looks at his younger brother that I can't see like he's an alcoholic and pops pills and telling me, because I'm doing other drugs, that I'm no good. He's a hypocrite. But I couldn't see it then, because I'm delusional, completely delusional, right? So I'm saying, Ryan, you gotta go home, bro. And he just looked at me like, man, go ahead, man. And then I hit my brother. And my brother was bigger than me. So now we're fighting at the King's Motel in Rahway to the point that the guys I was with left, the guys he was with all left, and they're looking at it like these white boys are crazy. And we were. But we didn't know that the way of life, the product of the environment that we grew up in, the product of alcohol and drugs, what it ended up doing to our life. Because our parents raised us to be better. They really did. But my father worked a lot. My mom worked a lot. So we had a lot of free time. We made a lot of bad decisions. It wasn't on my parents. So my brother ends up getting sober, and he's going to work all the time. He looks great. I was really, really happy for him. Because I honestly, like I said, from a young age, I always thought my older brother was going to die. And that was like my biggest fear. Like it really, really would like disturb me completely as a child. But now I'm doing some of the same things he's doing. So he gets sober, he looks great, he's going to work all the time, we're not speaking, but I'm okay with that, because I'm like, my brother's doing good. I just thought he was always worse than me with the drugs and the alcohol. So we're not speaking for a while. He ends up going to the dentist. He doesn't tell the dentist that he's in recovery. They give him a script of Vicodin, and boom, he's back to drinking, popping pills, and other things as well. So I see him at a party, and I'm with my younger brother, and he's like, yo, chill. Just leave Ryan alone. I'm like, I genuinely just wanted to speak to my brother. Because I knew from the bottom of my heart, from having leukemia, that I'm wasting time and life is fragile. I knew that. Even as delusional as I was, I knew that time is not promising. Anything can change at the drop of a dime. All of us. Our lives can be flipped upside down, that you can't even imagine the pain that you could be in. That's how fast life can change, right? So I end up approaching my brother with my younger brother, my older brother. I said, Ryan, I just want to be your brother and I want to love you. Now, when we speak from our hearts, we'll always connect to someone else's heart, right? It's the language of the heart. Even if I wasn't speaking a language for you to understand, you won't hear me, but you'll feel me. And my brother felt how genuine I was towards him. And we squashed the beef. It was almost a year where we didn't even speak to each other, right? So we squashed the beef. My mom's like, oh, they're doing the right things now. They're getting along. We're staying home. Meanwhile, we're both selling cocaine, both drinking, both doing drugs. And I'm hanging on to college by a thread. I was up till about 5 in the morning on New Year's Eve of 2006. And I hung up the phone with this girl that I was talking to. And on 2006, New Year's Eve, my mother woke me up screaming from her soul that my brother died and I needed to go identify the body. Now, I could tell you, when life was good, I still didn't know how to cope with life. So when my brother died, and I'm already on alcohol and drugs, I have no strong foundation to deal with something like that, it broke me. It broke our family, to be fully transparent. You know, because we didn't really stick together like we should because we were all in our own lane. Our parents, you know, were doing the best that they could, but me, my younger brother who's here today, who's sober 9 years, we were both actively drinking and doing drugs. So we didn't even know how to handle this situation with my brother's death. My brother died at 28 years old, and he left behind a daughter. Her name is Rihanna, that never got to meet her father. She was only 2 or 3 when he passed away. And I thank God that I was able to make those amends to my brother at that house party and tell him that I just want to be your brother and I just want to love you. Because on that Christmas, my brother wasn't an emotional guy. I'm a big mush. You know, I put on this big facade like I'm a tough guy, but I'm really oversensitive. And my brother said to me that Christmas, he said, Harry, I love you. I'm really glad we're speaking to each other. And if you ask me, I really believe that was God's way of saying goodbye. And I'm so grateful that we left on those terms a few days before he died. Because if I still hadn't talked to my brother after we got into that physical altercation, it would have been so much worse. So then what happens? All I know is how to get out of myself is taking something that makes me feel numb. So when my brother died, at the wake, I was on perks, I was drinking, and then I didn't know how to deal with these things going on in my life. So what do? I tried to kill myself. I took over 30 sticks of Xanax, which is a real strong drug, a bunch of perks, a bunch of alcohol. I got into a physical altercation with my father at my house. I put my hands on my father. And that broke my father's heart. My father grew up without a father. He couldn't understand how his own son would put his hands on his father. His father died when he was 4 years old. It triggered his mother's schizophrenia, where she went to a psych ward, and he was adopted by his grandmother. And he also went through abusive things that he doesn't want me to share about up on this stage. But some of the things that I mentioned is a cakewalk to what my father went through. My mother, she grew up with a mother where her father left 6 kids. My grandmother was burned 80% of her body. She took care of her siblings. So my parents were just doing the best that they could, coming with the cards that they were dealt. And I would say to myself, like, they could have did a better job. I'm delusional. They had no help raising kids. I'm spoiled. My parents helped me out with my children. But I'm selfish and self-centered. All I do is think about myself and what I need to feel better. So what do? I try to kill myself. I sleep in the hospital for 3 days. I'm on suicide watch. I'm telling my brother, yo, bring us some perks. I'm bored out of my mind. I'm suicide watch. I'm delusional. But I don't know how to deal with pain in my life. Let's recap. 4 years old, sexually molested by a neighbor. 19, diagnosed with leukemia. 23, lost my older brother. I fought my whole life. I don't want to fight no more. I'm done. I quit. I want to die. And I really don't want to die. I really want to live, but just don't know how to live. I don't got a drug and alcohol problem. What I really got is a sober problem. I don't know how to deal with life on life's terms. So what do? I pick up weed. I drink. I run from things. I don't talk about what's going on in my life. I don't talk about things that are bothering me. I don't get real. And when you put me with a counselor or someone in front of me, I tell them what I think they want to hear. Doesn't benefit me. And they're probably looking at me like, we're here to help, but we can only help you if you want to help yourself. I'm delusional. So, I'm literally just getting by in life at that time. I'm a full-blown alcoholic drug addict, sleeping at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, every single day. My parents are probably scared to kick me out because they don't want to lose another child. My younger brother's active. And I mean, we weren't raised this way. But again, it started out with fun. Let's just have fun. Let's chill. Now all of a sudden we're hooked. And we're making all these bad decisions in life. I don't even know who I am. Because I've been numb for so long, I'm just whoever you think, who you want me to be. I'm a chameleon. Because my father didn't raise me that way. My mother didn't raise me that way. They didn't work that hard for me to do the things that I did. And they already lost a son. And I'm on suicide watch popping perks in Rahway Hospital. And what do? My best thinking, I sign myself out of the hospital, and I go to a keg party. And my older brother's girlfriend's there, Taisha. She goes, crying. You look just like your brother. You're out of control. I'm like, man, go ahead, bro. You're a drama queen. But she was right. But I don't want to hear it when I'm caught in the grip of it, everything that I want to get out of myself. So fast forward, I end up getting a girl pregnant that I hooked up with in high school with. And I really didn't even want a relationship. Like I said, I really didn't even want to be alive. So when she got pregnant, I thought I couldn't have kids. Because after my second round of chemo, when I went to the doctors to see if I could still produce a child, they said, no, you can't. They said, we don't know if it'll ever come back. So obviously, I had to go back to the same place. I found out that I could have a child. That child made me want to change my life and live again. Because I felt defeated by life. I really did. So I end up having this miracle daughter who's 3 of us, me, my older brother, and her mother. And I named her Ryan after my older brother that passed away. And Ryan made me want to live life again. But I just can't pull it together. Right? I just can't get it together. The relationship with her mom doesn't work out. We split up. My younger brother is like wilding out. 6 in the morning, the garbage men that, work on the garbage trucks that I grew up with. Yo, your brother's downtown, trash from the night before, talking about he's going to wrestling practice. He's going to go do pull-ups at Rahway Park. And you know how many stories I hear like that? That people just get stuck. And they just repeat the same things over and over and over. And talk about the same things over and over. That's the definition of insanity. Repeating the same things and expecting a different outcome. But I don't know that I'm even trapped. Most of the kids that I grew up with don't even know that they're trapped. Became a product of their environment and a product of drugs and alcohol. They're delusional, but don't even know it. That's the sad part. They don't even know they're stuck. So my younger brother ends up getting help first. He goes to rehab. Praise to God, like, I want to break this family chain. I don't want my brother to die. I don't want anyone else to die. I got aunts and uncles that I don't even know like that because of this disease. So my brother gets sober. We're not talking. He looks great. He's going to work all the time. They used to call him DJ Jazzy Jeff because they're like, yo, you don't show up on work on Fridays or Mondays, so are you a DJ or a stripper? Right? He's going to work all the time. We're not speaking. I see him having these conversations with my parents. He's genuinely happy. I want what he has. I'm miserable. My life sucks. Every day I wake up, it revolves around drugs and alcohol. And if I don't have them, I'm not happy. And then, say for example, I don't have money and someone calls me up. Yo, H, I got you today. What's good? Where you at? You got me? Oh, we good. And now all of a sudden, I didn't even pick up a drink or drug yet, but the thought that it's coming, I feel better already. Hey, what's up, Mom? Sorry, no, I was in the shower, because now I feel better. Before that, I was thinking about how my life sucked, how I wanted to die, how I didn't want to be here, how I lost my older brother. All this self-pity, poor me, poor me. And towards the end, that's all I had was poor me. Let me tell you my sad story and everything that happened to me. Because if you had these things happen, you'd be just like me. I end up finally, it was a weekend I had my daughter, and this was the last thing that set me off, that really, the straw that broke the camel's back. It was a weekend I had my daughter Ryan, me and her mom were split up, and I kid you not, even on drugs and alcohol, this girl was everything to me. I mean everything. I bring her to my mom's house, because like a good drug addict alcoholic, I still live with my mom. So I bring her to my mom's house. I say, Mom, I'm just gonna run to the store, I'll be right back. I went to the local bar, I'm not gonna say the name, out here. In my heart of hearts, I just wanted to go have 2 beers, get a little buzz, come home, watch Frozen for the millionth time with my 4-year-old daughter that I could do no harm in her eyes, that adores me. What happens when I have those 2 beers? Yo, my man, you got a bump? Start sniffing coke. My last 2 years, I did the things that my brother did that I said I would never do. So now I'm sniffing coke, drinking, weed's corny to me now, perks, all of that stuff. So what turned out to be go have 2 drinks turns out for me being gone for 2 days, and I'm suicidal. And I call my younger brother, who's 9 months sober. I said, yo, I'm about to kill myself, bro. I can't even be there for my daughter that I love with all my heart. He said, Harry, come home so we can speak. I came home. He said, bro, just take the suggestion, man, go to rehab. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I didn't even get sober for myself. I got sober for that 4-year-old girl that I adored. Because I didn't love myself. Just keeping it 100 with you guys. I went there for her. So I go to rehab, first week, going through withdrawals, all types of weird dreams, crawling out of my skin, things that I suppressed coming out. And I used to fight. The only reason I fought, the only reason I was known for knocking out people, I wasn't fighting anyone but myself. I was unhappy with myself. I didn't know how to express myself. So what do? Someone talks slick or looks at me funny, clean them. But it was just because I didn't know how to say, you know, Danny, what you just said, that really bothered me. I hurt my feelings. I thought that was corny. I really didn't know how to express myself. So I end up going back and forth the first week, and I'm like, I'm sitting in this meeting, and everyone's looking at me, and the one counselor God put in my life, old school, brother, smooth, calm, complete opposite of me. I'm a 0 to 100. He says, yo, come outside real quick. I come outside, he's like, yo, what's good, bro? Eyes are bloodshot, I'm not sleeping. I'm looking for someone to look at me funny so I can take out my pain and anger on them and get kicked out. Unconsciously. Because that's what I do, I quit. I never follow through. Drugs and alcohol, once they have me in my system, I'm not following through on things. I don't care how I look, whatever. Steps outside, he said, listen, man, you need to take a nap or something. Bro, I got you. Just go take a nap. And I took a suggestion. My first suggestion was listen to my brother. I never listened to anyone. I never realized that. If you gave me directions or suggestions on things to do, I would do the opposite just because you told me to do it. It sounds like crazy, but that's just the way my mind operated. You say, walk straight, I'm walking backwards. And I finally started to listen and take suggestions. And slowly, looking from here, looking back, things started to change. I became the group leader at the rehab. I was playing baseball over there, hitting Babe Ruth home runs, cracking that ball. Playing basketball again. Horseshoes. They even had these buckets with the frisbees. Things that I enjoyed doing that drugs and alcohol robbed me from. They robbed me from who I was. And then it became all I knew. And I became a slave to drugs and alcohol. And it killed my older brother. And kept my aunts and uncles, still to this day, my one uncle is completely out of his mind. Me and my brother went there like 3 years ago to Manhattan to his apartment. This guy's 6'4", probably 140 pounds, answered the door completely naked, drinking for 2 weeks straight, hasn't eaten, has the mannerisms of my older brother, and I'm sober looking at him, and he's reminding me of the way my brother used to look when he came home and I was a kid. Completely messed up my head. And he keeps repeating, at 50-something years old, how did this happen to me? How did this happen to me? And that's when it hit me. This is what happened to my entire family. Drugs and alcohol ripped right through my family. Killed my older brother, robbed relationships. My parents, I put them through hell. All of us boys put them through hell. And when I got sober, this is how still I'm delusional, right? I brought my parents to therapy. And I'm yelling at them that they could have did a better job, all this different stuff. But not looking at my part. I didn't look at the relationships that I robbed them from. My mom doesn't want to answer the phone for her friends because her friends are going to college and her kids are going to Union County Jail. But I think they could have did better. I'm delusional. Completely delusional. She goes to ShopRite, she puts her head down. Why? Someone from the neighborhood, oh, there goes Miss Page. Her son Harry knocked someone out at Butch Cole's. He's fighting down the projects. But I'm telling my parents they could have did a better job. Look at the arrogance on me. And I didn't still start seeing this stuff till the last 2 years. I've been sober 8 years. Because I can't see the truth about myself. It takes time for me to really see who I was. I was a sick kid coming up with a disease that runs in both families, drugs and alcohol, that I didn't want to hear from my father. I was a product of my environment. And honestly, a lot of my friends were Latin Kings and Bloods. I didn't join any gangs. I wanted to be the white boy that was tough, that didn't even need a gang, and bang out with you. That's what I wanted to excel in. And I could have taken the same passion and excelled in wrestling, basketball, baseball. I'm a lefty, I had a great arm. I never even got to tap into my potential. But I can tell you what's going on today. Since my brother broke the family chain of our disease, he got sober, led the way out for me. My kids today, my daughter's a boxer. She was getting bullied in class a few years ago, a little overweight. Hooked her up with a nutritionist. She slimmed down, she's boxing. She's fighting her way. She's going towards the pain and growing. I believe in therapy. I put my kids in therapy if they need it. My son's doing excellent in school. He's well behaved, has a job at 15. He's gonna start wrestling this year. These are all things I didn't get to do. And sometimes so hard on them because they don't understand. I just don't want them to be like the way I was. I want them to tap into the best version of themselves. Just like why I'm here today. I want you guys to tap into the best version of yourselves. Don't be like me. I can't even believe I'm here sometimes that I'm speaking on stages in front of schools where I didn't even go to school. I really hope that I could touch someone today to say like, man, this guy was messed up. I really don't have to go down that route. I can make a difference. We affect people in our lives whether we like it or not. When I was drinking and drugs, I don't affect anyone, I just hurt myself. How selfish is that? Just like when my brother got himself together, it affected me in a positive way, right? Look at my daughter. When I was on drugs and alcohol, jumping out in road rage with my 5-year-old screaming, "Daddy, don't beat him up." And I'm wondering why she's struggling in schoolwork and misbehaving. Because I'm delusional. I don't look at my part. Then I start to work on myself, get myself together, be the father that my daughter needs. The following year, after I made some life changes, went to rehab, got my stuff together, the same little girl that was acting out and misbehaving, the principal says, "Can you step into the office? We want to talk to you about your daughter, Ryan." They said, "What's going on with Ryan this year?" I said, "I'm kind of baffled. I don't know what you mean." They said, "Well, last year your daughter was struggling with schoolwork and misbehaving." They said, "This year, your daughter's the class leader, her maturity level's through the roof, and she's kind and caring towards others." Was a direct effect from me changing my life, effortlessly changed hers. Just like when my brother got sober, it effortlessly changed mine. So think about your younger siblings, if you got siblings, where you're acting up and you're not being the best version of yourself, how you're affecting them. And don't think that you're just affecting yourself, because that's selfish. Don't be like me. My older brother never got the opportunity to see the change. He paid the ultimate sacrifice with his life. Can we go to the next slide? I've been in, you can keep kind of clicking through. I've been in multiple magazines I became #1 out of 100 agents out of my office. They wrote a news article about my brother and I. I shared in there how, I was selfish and judged my brother. Let's go to the next one. Been on billboards. Keep going. You can stop right there. So I got into real estate and became really, really successful. My brother was in the union. He wasn't really liking the people that he was working with. I was like, "Listen, open up your own business. Create your own success." And I had walked through that door where my first year, I didn't really make any money. Like I was broke. My wife today was putting things on the credit card so that I wouldn't give up on my dreams. And if she told me that, I probably might have just went back to truck driving, to be honest, right? And so what we did was, my brother opened up his own business. We started buying houses, fixing them up, selling them, making a nice profit on top of our regular business. Last year alone, my wife and I, we made it into 1 percentile of how much money we made. And that's not the most important things that I'm up here to talk about today. These don't even really matter like that to me. Let's go to the next slide. I found things I was passionate about, like, you guys see a crappy house, right? Would you want to live there? These are what we specialize in. We love getting properties like this. So let me show you the next slide. And that's what we transformed it to. Guys, I hope what you're getting from my message so far is that if the white boy from town known for knocking you out, drug addict, alcoholic, can change his life, losing an older brother, not having relationships with some of my other family members due to their active addiction. Guys, you can do whatever you want. Whatever you want. Now listen, I might get some whiplash from this, but I tell my kids, school is not everything to me. It's not the most important. What's most important is following your heart and your dreams. Like when I got into real estate, everyone was like, "Yo, you know how hard that is, bro? Blah, 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 blah." And I just blocked them out. Blocked them out. Let's go to the next slide. I keep people around me that are positive. That's one of my business partners. He's from Linden, came from nothing, super successful, helped mentor me to lose some of my rough edges, so to speak, because I was a very street kid, I didn't know how to express myself. I had to get more business-minded. Let's go to the next one. My brother has been my biggest inspiration. My younger brother is really like my older brother to me. He led the way out. He's my friend. He's there for me. Whenever I need to talk about anything I'm going through, Like, I truly adore my younger brother, more than he'll ever realize. Because I still feel like I'm still crazy in certain ways with my attitude and my anger. But I gotta remember too, it was 31 years that I made myself a certain way. That it was just reaction. You disrespect me, handle it. Was really lost in life, didn't know who I was. You know, I know who I am today. I'm an oversensitive guy. I love helping people. I love doing what I do in real estate. I love fixing up houses. I own multiple houses now. When I first got, I didn't even have credit. I didn't even have a credit card when I got sober. I think I had a prepaid one my ex bought for me. Had no credit, none of these things, nothing. Let's go to the next one. I think that's Big Surge. It's my buddy, he just became captain in Newark as a police officer. God's got a sense of humor, because I can tell you, none of my friends were cops when I was active. I didn't want nothing to do with cops. But I'm delusional, right? The reason why cops always wanted to bust my chops because I wasn't doing the right thing. And I always be like, what, why are you always bugging me? You know? Let's go to the next clip. My beautiful wife, and so we have our stepson Julian, my stepson Julian, and my daughter Ryan, and when Liz and I came together, we had Olivia. So we're a blended family, right? That little girl right there, I'm doing such a better job than with my first daughter. Like, I really failed her. I wasn't the best version of myself the first few years because of drugs and alcohol. You know, I still make mistakes. Like, I'll give you an example and how my life has changed for the better and the person I'm trying to be today. Simple things. I'm on the phone with a lawyer talking about a deal, and our daughter is like twirling. Daddy, look at me, I'm a ballerina. And I'm like, Olivia, one second. I'm on the phone and something's bothering me, right? And I just see it in her eyes, like I just broke this little girl's heart. She just wanted her dad to look at her. And I'm like, damn. I hang up the phone, she's in her bed, and I look at her, and I said, Olivia, you're a good girl. Daddy was wrong for that. I love you with all my heart. You're super special to me. I've taken both of my daughters out when my first few years sober. My older daughter, I picked her up in a limo. I took her on a date. And the reason I did that, and I did that with Olivia as well. Picked her up in a limo, and both of them, like, Ryan would like Shrek, so I had like Shrek on the big screen on the party bus. And then I had, what was the other one that she liked? I forgot the little kids movie that she liked. I think it was the one with the feelings. You ever see the one with the anger and sadness? Yeah. So I had that on the screen for her. And the reason why I take my daughters out and do things like that, as a leukemia survivor, as a brother that lost a brother, I know none of us are promised tomorrow. So God forbid something was to happen to me, my girls know how a man should treat them. You know, all the things that I talked about, the stuff in the magazines, all of that, that's not what's really important. What's important to me today is trying to be a good father, trying to be a good brother, trying to be a good husband, a son. You know, a lot of things have changed in our lives for the better. You know, there was someone that passed in our community that was related to Mr. Rahway. And my father, we all went there, and that's another thing today. I make it a point to go to wakes and show up for people, even if I wasn't that close to them, to pay respects, because I know what it's like to lose someone. And it's the hardest thing you can go through. So my same parents that used to hold their head down at ShopRite or, you know, gonna hear something negative about their kids, my father called me after his wake. He said, everybody I ran into, had nothing but positive things to say about you and your brother. We've helped people in the community that, you know, no one knows about. It's private things, or we help people on drugs and alcohol. Both successful businessmen, both better sons today to be there for our parents. I'm able to be there for my kids. My brother's about to have his first son. Today, life is good, real good. And sometimes I forget how good I really got it. And I don't want to become delusional. But I cannot pick up a drink or a drug. Some people are able to get away with it. But this stuff is hereditary, it runs in families, and it ruins lives and kills people. So most importantly, I really hope I brought you guys a message of transformation, of hope. You know, one of my favorite sayings is, he who says he can and he who says he can't are both usually right. Today I just choose to say that I can. That's it, guys. Thank you.